organized here, waiting to go live and get everything going. Is it connected? There we go. That's not the best of views, but we'll take it. Almost. Let's go, LinkedIn. Let's go, LinkedIn. LinkedIn. Come on, buddy. There we go. All right, we're firing on all cylinders. And hey, welcome, welcome. Okay, let's get to this finally. Your hormones are working against you every single day. They crank up hunger, they kill your energy, they make fat loss feel like you're pushing a boulder uphill. Until you understand what's actually happening inside your body, you're going to keep white knuckling your way through another failed diet. Wondering why discipline or motivation or willpower just isn't enough, or I'm eating healthy and clean, but still not making real impact. Today, episode 47, Driven for Health, I'm walking you through 7 hormones that control fat loss, hunger, and total energy. More importantly, I'm showing you what to do with them so you can stop fighting yourself and start making actual real progress that actually sticks and doesn't stick body fat to your belly. We isn't gonna say blame your thyroid today or your pancreas is broken or any of that type of things. We're just gonna get into the actual foundational understanding of what we need to do, explain these 7 hormones, and you have actionable insights to take with you to help in your fat loss journey, your health journey, your chronic illness journey. The foundation still calories matter. CICO, calories in, calories out. Before we drive into the hormones, we need to do something about getting it straight when calories matter. Okay. Super important in this whole process. Now, when men are in a real calorie deficit, like really low, 1300 or even 1400, I've seen some guys try and do 1200 calories. It's insane for an adult male. They're going to lose weight. Okay. Almost every time. And then when someone says to me, they reach out, Brian, because Brian, I can't lose weight anymore. And we start going through what some of the issues are. They're like, I don't know what's going on. I've been in this calorie deficit. I've lost 40 pounds. I still have 35 more to go. And I think my health blood panels are improving, but not to the point where I'm scot free and off meds or something. In that situation, they don't know what's going on. The real issue is their calories are really low. This isn't even nothing. Oh, my thyroid's broken. That's not it. We are in a significant deficit on that situation, or the other, and their metabolism slowed down and adapted, or the other situation is that they're actually not as honest or truthful around it. I don't want to claim the percentage off the top of my head, but there's a large percentage of people that overconsume calories more than they account for. They say, hey, I am going to be eating this much calories and I am in a calorie deficit, but when we actually add it up, that they are off. Portion controls are off. Calorie intake is off. They didn't track this or that, or they're not as accurate. And every once in a while, I'll do an actual audit with people. Hey, if you haven't been making progress, we need to get back to sending pictures on top of tracking your food and really double down on making sure we're in an actual real deficit. So let's define, how do you know if you're in a real calorie deficit? Uh, if you're a real deficit isn't eating calories most of the days, it's eating calories across every single day and not having, say, a weekend blowout. So you do great clean eating Monday through Thursday, or maybe even Friday, but Saturday and Sunday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday, could literally erase your whole game plan. and effort for days of effort. I've even had clients measure themselves on Friday instead of Monday or Saturday morning to help them stay on track with the effort, the energy, the impact of this process of making sure that we are staying in on, so that we will literally see a scale weight loss on Friday, and then they regain the weight by Monday. And this is a problem, especially if I talk to a client on Mondays or Tuesdays. They're like, "Oh, I'm not losing weight." Well, what's happening over the weekend, and are you actually losing weight through the week? As soon as we figure that out, then we can start to understand, okay, their habits and behaviors are the bigger challenge here. But here's where it gets interesting. Okay, hormones don't make weight loss impossible, but they can make it harder if you are working against them. They can crank up hunger, increase cravings, drop your energy down. You feel slow and want to take naps all the time. They mess with your sleep. Who's woken up in the middle of the night, can't go back to sleep, or even have trouble going to sleep? Those are sometimes hormonal issues. They reduce how much you move without you even realizing that you're doing it. When you're in a large calorie deficit for a long time, your NEAT, your non exercise activity thermogenesis, which I go over that in the nutrition pyramid in episodes 5 through 11, you can go through it. NEAT is a very powerful thing. That's me. I'm standing right now as I record this and I'm fidgeting and I'm burning all these extra calories, but you literally slow down. Your body will stop you from actually burning calories when you are either against it with calories for a long time or your hormones. Yes, calories in versus calories out matter a lot, but it's not always that simple. And the real, say, weight loss goal or improving your blood panel goal is calories plus hormones plus behavior consistency equals weight loss. Because I like to start off with this simple formula: I move this much, say working out in a week and general overall average activity in the day and the week. Plus, I eat this much, how many calories and say macros that you ate equals what my body does. And that honestly is the only way to actually truly figure out where your calorie ranges are. If am I in a calorie deficit? Am I in a calorie surplus? Or you step on the scale and it will show you the last week or two's effort on where you're at. Now, when you ignore hormones, fat loss can be really challenging, especially if the behaviors aren't consistent with actual real science backed strategies implemented into your everyday life. You can eat very little food and starve and be miserable. It can be confusing because you go to YouTube and Google and you get all these conflicting ideas on what you should or shouldn't do, and ultimately unstable and sustainable. I think of it like this: a favorite saying you would heard Brianisms on episode 30, but what we do in 2 weeks, we do in 2 months, we do in 2 years. That's the habit and the behavior process that we need to work through. So I'm not trying to validate why you can't lose weight. I'm just offering a better insight on your hormones, how they show up in your body, what's really happening, what their reasonings are. And once you can understand those, then you can have a better leverage on it, because hormones can't override physics. And what they do is influence both sides of the calorie equation: calories consumed, meaning your appetite, cravings, satiation, your impulse control, and calories burned, your metabolism, non exercise activity, your training performance and recovery. That's the game that you're trying to play with all those layers of understanding. If you're not, maybe all of that's wow, I don't even have an idea what that looks like. Well, then we can just say layers to an onion. Or maybe you're only on the first layer and you just have to become more calorie aware, where someone who's been tracking for a long time understands macros can get a little bit deeper into more strategic carbohydrate timing, calorie timing, sequencing, and different things like that. All right, let's get to it. Hormones matter 100%. And I hope that you understand how they impact you here. How to know if you have a hormone problem? Here's the thing: you can get blood work done and see actual numbers, and then you will have a lot better idea on what it is. You can't just throw out, oh, my hormones must be off. They must not be balanced. You need scientific proof, blood panel results to help you understand if they are off or not. Get labs done, guys, in your 40s and 50s. Get labs done regularly, at least ideally once a year, so you can monitor these with your doctor. Again, none of this is advice. You should see a medical professional. Just going to throw that out there. But you want to get thyroid, testosterone, cortisol, insulin markers, cholesterol, A1C. Knowing those numbers can give you more of an empowered path of what you need to do. As I walk through these 7 hormones, ask yourself, am I experiencing any of these issues? Because your body is already telling you the truth of the matter. You just need to listen. Let's get into it. Hormone number one, GLP-1. It's your appetite control system. GLP-1 stands for glucagon like peptide 1. It's your body's appetite control center. That's what GLP-1s are. All right, it's a peptide, and these medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, Manjaro, they all stimulate that the GLP-1 to help manage your hunger. It tells the GLP-1 is made in your gut. Think of it like brakes on your appetite, and not the gas pedal, but the brake. So it's going to slow down the hunger, the feeling. It tells your brain when you've had enough to eat. When GLP-1 is working well, you feel full and satiated. When it's not, you're hungry all day. You just can't seem to put enough food in your mouth. And that becomes a problem because you overeat then high calories, ultra processed foods that multiply calories inside your body in your waistline. GLP-1 is like the delivered notification on a text message to your brain. When you eat slow, your brain receives the message, we're good. Food has been delivered. When you inhale your food, the message shows up late and you've already overeaten calories. That's the challenge. It just literally, if you slow down, guys, and ate, and it took 20 minutes, which who has 20 minutes? Me, that's a challenge. But when you slow down, you literally can help naturally have the GLP-1 in your stomach stimulate and say, hey, I'm full, because it takes about 20 minutes to feel that and digestion and the fillingness and the signals go from your stomach to your brain saying we're good. And if you strategically place it with lots of protein and vegetables, then you can fill up on lower calorie foods, which is the hack for managing hunger, cravings, calories, blood sugars, and feeling content with your food. Your stomach, it slows down digestion, and your stomach will actually hold on to food longer, and it decreases the hunger and the actual control release of the blood sugar into your bloodstream, keeping your blood sugar rises more stable and not this blood sugar roller coaster and a release of insulin. Naturally, how do you manage GLP-1? Well, with hydration, we can. If you're not drinking enough water, I love guys drinking at least 100 ounces of water. You're going to struggle with hunger. Literally, you're just not keeping a very free strategy that's cheap, free, and you just keeps you hydrated and feeling better to fill up your stomach and your body. The baseline for guys, I always say, is 100 ounces. Certainly, you could go lower with a little bit of water or water and coffee, tea without a lot of calories works just fine too. If you're not a water guy, that's okay, but it does help with your energy and your overall health. And water to the body is like oil to a car. What happens when there's not enough oil in a car? The It creates friction, and the engine may seize on you in that situation. Same thing with your body. and even say digestion slows significantly and leading to constipation and backup. Who wants that? When I start feeling hungry, well, number one, I'm drinking from my mug here, my logoed mug for Driven for Health. Ah, and then that helps me stay full throughout the day and hydrated. I usually try and get water in before I start drinking coffee. I love my coffee hack. I have my water next to my coffee cup. So I chug my water, sip my coffee, and then by the time I'm done with my coffee, I'm drinking 20 ounces of water. And then I'm 30 plus ounces of fluid in me, and it keeps me full longer. And I'm checking off my hydration box without having to actually feel that I'm doing it. Protein naturally boosts GLP-1 and it will help keep you full longer. We've gone over that ad nauseum. Episode 6 goes over macronutrients, protein, and all. Fiber is another way to do it. Fiber adds volume to your stomach and it slows down digestion in a good way, providing micronutrients, vitamins, and minerals to be delivered in your intestines and help your body stay healthy. I'm a big fan of at least 25 grams for guys. I even, if we're in a fat loss phase, I'll push it toward 30. In a future episode, we'll break down fiber in a little bit more detail, soluble, insoluble, how to get them, what foods are grand slams and what foods aren't that you might think they're in. We already mentioned it. Another natural way to manage GLP-1 in your stomach is eat slower. We just talked about that. Most guys eat way too much, way too fast. This is the next one would be fermented foods. Greek yogurt, cottage cheese. They help support gut health, microbiome, and that's really good. And a protein source too. Regular exercise, sleep, right? Those can help naturally regulate and improve the GLP-1 function, and they should be non negotiables for you regardless. The strength pyramid goes on episode 17 to 23, I believe. There's a lot of things I talked about on those episodes about exercise. So if that strikes your fancy, jump in. I do want to take a moment here to share a story from a client, Victor. Victor came to me and he was struggling. He needed to lose 43 total pounds. He was down 21 and got stuck. Not stuck for like 4 months stuck. That's a long time to be feeling like you're doing all the things. You're working out, you're drinking your water, you're tracking your food, you're doing all this stuff, and the scale's just literally not moving. Pictures aren't moving. Clothes are still feeling the same. That becomes very frustrating, and oftentimes people will quit. And kudos for Victor for not quitting and actually buckling down and showing up. And he wanted to he came to me, said, I swear I didn't do anything differently than I have been. I'm not sure why things are going. And ultimately that's my job to figure out why things are the way they are. So the weight loss was dropping. At first the weight did drop and he felt like he had control again, but then he hit that stall and it messed with them. Now, what we had to look about was into jumping into his day-to-day actions of what he was doing. Problem was he was doing fat loss in a way that made his hormones turn the volume up on hunger and cravings and the volume down on energy and his patience. Once we're able to educate them on leptin and ghrelin and the insulin and using it appropriately with food and have the basic strategies cemented into his day to day, the core four of water, nutrition, fitness, and sleep, he was able to be really successful there. Hormone number two is cortisol. This is your stress responder. Cortisol, everyone's heard of it. The cortisol belly. Cortisol is your body's stress hormone, fight or flight. Most men live their entire lives constantly in that fight or flight. Oftentimes, I'll have a guy show up and I say, "Hey, are you living in a stress response and you just don't even know it? You're just maxed out cortisol and your adrenals are blown because of this fight or flight with work, with home, with crazy schedule, lack of sleep, no good nutrition. Is that what you're dealing with?" And sometimes they say, holy cow, this is the, I identify with that. Now, all those things impact on your cortisol. High cortisol causes weight gain. We know this, especially in your belly and visceral fat. Visceral fat is the stuff that gets around your organs and is actually very dangerous, whereas subcutaneous fat is the jiggly stuff that's closer to the skin that you usually can push and feel like the Pillsbury Doughboy in a sense. The dangerous side of this, it makes you crave sugar and fatty foods all while killing your energy and not wanting to move as much. A simple analogy, cortisol is a smoke alarm. It's useful when there's a real fire, but if the alarm is going off all day every day, you can't relax, you can't focus, and you start to make decisions and choices that move you in the wrong direction. Say stress relief, eating high calorie foods at night when you're wiped out and have no resourcefulness to say no. The indirect impact here on cortisol doesn't directly stop fat loss. It indirectly impacts your calories consumed and calories burned. The more stress you have, the more cravings you will naturally have, and the more hunger will go up. The more stress you have, the less energy you have to make sound decisions or move your body. And yes, you move less, but when you decrease cortisol, and when you want to decrease cortisol, then you're actually able to get to the inverse. So when you have high cortisol, your desire to move becomes less, your desire to manage stress becomes less, and the vice versa. The indirect impact is that when it decreases, then you have this newfound energy and motivation. That's the game you want to play. How do we manage cortisol? Well, sleep. Of course, 7+ hours is a solid amount. And most guys are running on 5, 4, 6, and wondering why they can't lose weight. There are a significant amount of studies on sleep under 6 hours that show that you will have trouble and challenges losing weight. All right. Managing caffeine will help that. 400 milligrams in a day is the most that a human body can tolerate. And if you're having 4 cups of coffee or something, or an energy drink, a monster with 300, you're already mostly there. And we want to manage that. Other ways to help manage cortisol: walking outside, getting some fresh air, getting sunlight, having a wind down routine. At night, I play Sudoku. It helps me quiet my brain and get it to focus on numbers and not think of anything else. And I fall asleep pretty darn fast. Now, the kicker and the real problem here is you manage high stress for a season or a few months, but then it keeps just turning into a lifestyle. You never undo the stress. You have a stressful time at work, but then it just the habits and the behaviors and patterns go into normal life, even if season of stress is lower. All right. Hormone number three is thyroid. Thyroid is your metabolism thermostat. Thyroid controls your metabolism. And think about it like the thermostat in your house is a simple analogy. If the thermostat is turned down, everything runs slower. It's colder, you don't want to move much. And when it's hotter and turned up, everything processes more. The body burns and you have energy and you want to go outside and do things when it's hotter. Your thyroid tells your cells how fast to work. When your thyroid is out of balance, it definitely affects your weight, your metabolism, your mood, energy, how you come across to your partner, your kids, your coworkers. Here's what most people don't understand with thyroid. Your thyroid slows down as you lose weight. That's normal. If you lose 20 to 30 pounds in a fat loss phase, your thyroid will slow down and your metabolism will slow down because you are literally lighter and you need less calories to operate. The biology isn't the issue here. A 300-pound man, his body is working extremely hard to do basic functions, so his metabolism has to be higher. And as he loses weight, his body doesn't have to work so hard and it slows down. His energy needs decrease. We can't keep necessarily always the same amount of calories as we go in a fat loss phase, say every 10 pounds, you might need to do a calorie readjustment to align with your metabolism. So, and that's super important. And you also can't always just be in a fat loss phase, guys. Usually 3 to 4 months of time is a good time or a season to be in a fat loss phase. And then we need to cycle into a maintenance phase through, I'm a big fan of reverse dieting, although studies show that you can just go right back to maintenance. I think for a lot of guys that jumping to a maintenance level calories can potentially cause a little bit of weight gain on the scale and they start freaking out and it's just not helpful. How do we manage thyroid? Well, regular exercise, sleep, iodine rich foods, seafood, and dairy are super helpful to provide those raw materials. Eating healthier, more nutrient dense foods, having selenium intake from eggs, fish, Brazilian nuts. Just a handful of Brazilian nuts can check the box. If a couple times a week, it will help check that box there. Obviously, managing stress, meditation, prayer, yoga, deep breaths, with breath work, journaling, things like that. We have hormone number 4. So we're gonna keep chugging through here. Leptin, your fullness hormone. Leptin is your fullness hormone, and here's how I like to remember it. So you can remember it too. You have leptin and ghrelin. Leptin equals full. Okay. Full has two L's in it. And leptin starts with an L. Full leptin is full because I would get this confused earlier on. Leptin is starts with an L and full, and it leptin is made in your fat cells and it is a fuel gauge. Keep going with some analogies so you guys can understand this. When it works right, it tells your brain we've got enough stored energy. We have storage, we have excess calories. We're good. We don't need to eat more. It should help you feel less hungry and be able to burn more energy, but sometimes it gets jammed up. It gets overloaded when you have too much body fat and you eat past that fullness all the time. So you block that signal and you don't recognize that fullness feeling. Mike, he was episode 43, talked about how his playbook was eat till 80% full, and that did wild wonders for him. So that was a huge thing. Now, what causes leptin resistance? Something to pay attention to. If the gauge gets stuck and it keeps saying that there's no energy there, then that overeating frequency has to stop. We have to find other lower calorie strategies instead of high calorie dense foods. Okay. When we manage leptin with less sugar and less junk food, we clean up the diet and have the protocol of a protein first meal that really helps. Getting more sleep impacts leptin positively, improving your blood markers, lowering your body fat percentage will improve leptin. Having antioxidant rich foods, lots of deep, colorful foods helps with leptin. Getting your exercise, eating adequate amounts of protein help with leptin. Now, ghrelin is the opposite. Gremlin is the bad guy. It's the hunger hormone. Okay, how you can remember ghrelin equals grumble. Leptin is full, ghrelin is grumble. Your stomach grumbles when your ghrelin is up. This is the hormone that gets produced in your stomach, says we need food. And your stomach starts to growl and the ghrelin is up right now and we have to do some sort of a pattern interrupt and not just stuff food in our face. Here's the part most guys need and are challenged with. Ghrelin is like a scheduled alarm clock. If you always eat at certain times, then your body learns these times and starts ringing the bell like Pavlov's dog before the meal even shows up. And you start feeling this desire to eat food. And that ends up being why you end up eating in the first place. It's got nothing to do with fullness, but just the timing of this. Okay. It's a pattern that you have to be conscious of. When you are in a fat loss phase, ghrelin often gets louder, stomach grumbles because your body is trying to protect you from actually losing weight. Think of a starvation, a famine, right? The body doesn't like that. Okay. When some mental frameworks to help with this is when my stomach is hungry, that means ghrelin is up. It's sending a signal. It's not a command. Okay. It's just saying, hey, that's up. When you pattern interrupt, this could make a huge impact on the choices that you make once you recognize hunger is up. Okay. We don't want hunger up. We just want to know that it's a hormone signal and you're not going to die. No one's starved. Anyone that I've worked with has always had plenty of access to food and not getting overly hungry and all. And so you want to make sure that you are controlling that signal and being prepared and planned out ahead. Protein at meals, fiber, sleep, avoid processed foods. You get the gist. Insulin is your blood sugar manager. Insulin, everyone's heard of this, right? Your insulin is off and it struggles to keep up with the, say, the blood sugar production that you're eating in in your mouth. Then you get type 2 diabetes. When your A1C goes up, you get type 2 diabetes. When your blood sugar levels are up, and you can check out my improve your blood panel scorecard, and I referenced that in the last episode in 46, and I'll leave it in the show notes here on how to manage your hormones a lot better and improve your blood panels to help you understand these things. That's why I'm doing this episode in the first place. Insulin is made in your pancreas. Think of insulin as a key. Its job is to unlock the door and move your sugar from your blood into your muscle and your liver cells to be used as energy. Okay. Insulin goes up that way, and then it helps you manage those hunger levels there as you would need. Okay. What happens is that if you're constantly banging on the pancreas to release more insulin because there's always excessive amounts of blood sugar level, then you end up getting insulin sensitive and having insulin resistance. That's when you keep pushing more insulin out. It's like the lock is rusty and you can't get the key in. It's still a turn, but you got to keep a lot of effort and get a lot more insulin release. So instead of, say, releasing 5 units of insulin, you have to release 7 and then 8 and then 9 over a series of months or years. And then your body is making, literally just working harder to produce how you manage this. Okay. This, this is a problem. Now, how you manage insulin by start eating in a calorie deficit. Losing body fat improves insulin sensitivity. It drops your A1C. It drops your fasting blood sugar levels in the morning, or even the ups and the downs, the peaks and the valleys throughout the course of the day as well. When you manage your food, eating less sugar, less processed foods would be the first thing. I recently had a guy join my program. He's down 11 pounds literally by just stopping drinking soda. This is one of those low hanging fruit. Hey, can we swap it out for 0 calorie sweetened beverages and water and then balance that out? And he's down 11 pounds. This is Roscoe. And it's incredible that, because he's not banging on his blood sugar levels going through the roof. Something else that we can help is managing healthy fats. And I do like to make sure people are aware of their fat levels and controlling it and not overeating their fat levels, because fat multiplies calories. It's 9 calories per gram of fat and 4 calories per gram of protein and carbs. In episode 5, I go over that in more detail. But having healthy fats in is a, say, 30% of your overall calorie intake of the day is excellent. Olive oil, avocado, nuts, seeds are going to be the main ones that you want. Of course, fiber, we went over that. Fiber slows down the ramping up of carbohydrates and blood sugar release in the blood vessel in the blood itself, and getting the fiber. Regular exercise helps blunt blood sugar peaks because you're using the blood sugar that you just put into your mouth, and you're going to use it to walk and move your body or work out. That would be the best time to be able to manage that that there. Okay, you eat sugary foods around workouts, and then you use that sugar to help fuel exercise activity and energy. Hormone seven, and we'll wrap up here: estrogen and testosterone, right? The male female hormones, the sex hormones. And we just want to have make sure that we have the right amount of both. This isn't something you can guess on. You literally have to get tested for it. Men and women need both testosterone and estrogen just in the right balance because it affects your body weight, muscle mass, and how your body stores fat. When these hormones are out of balance, the losing weight is a lot harder. And for men, the low testosterone makes fat loss feel impossible. It's like you're dragging a sled, or again, going back to the reference earlier, pushing a boulder uphill. Not because fat loss is a huge challenge if you are in a calorie deficit, but because your energy drops. You have no gusto, no mojo to go to the gym and work out. Your energy drops, training drops, your ability to work out and gain muscle mass. And especially if we're in our 40s and 50s, you're already struggling with that. You're doing everything right, but your testosterone is 200. You need to get that up. Okay. And we want to do it through actually doctor, not the test boosters or something. Those things are garbage. All right, just don't do it. I do an episode on supplements, and that's on episode probably around 9 or 11 on supplements. But you don't want to use those garbage things because they're a waste of money. How can we do it naturally with boosting it? Well, vitamin D, anti inflammatory foods, eating protein, having enough calories, lifting weights, managing stress, keeping your body fat low. And this is the game change. Now, the big picture here, what you need to understand, taking away from all seven of these hormones, actually eight if you want to count testosterone and estrogen. But here's what you need to understand: all the hormones work together. It's not like, oh, my insulin is off and I'm doomed. You're not doomed. By changing your lifestyle, changing all these core four: sleep, hydration, nutrition, and fitness or movement, then you can have a lot more say on how you look and feel. And if you do get blood work, you may need to get some interventions there, but the doctor will be able to help you manage those if they are a good PCP, general care physician, or you go to a specialist that manages these labs better. Okay. That's where these fundamentals move the needle. What's the action plan? Well, I hope you learned a lot in this episode. I hope you identified some of these things, learned, say, leptin and ghrelin. Leptin is feeling full. We want that. Ghrelin is feeling hungry. We don't want that. So we want to use food strategies to help us stay full or drink water. If you just went to the doctor and you didn't get it clear, you got the packet pamphlet that says, "Hey, eat this food, don't eat that, or stop eating carbs and working out, or eat better and go exercise," and you want a little more clarity. Well, I have a an offer. You can get to improve your blood panels scorecard. It'll go over everything that you need from what you're eating to get. It'll give you a fast and easy protocol to be able to start up and pick up with, and then you'll get some emails that have nutrition advice, little exercise advice, and stuff to quick wins in the next 3 days to start seeing and feeling a little better response in your body. So you can check that out in the show notes. I want to thank you so much. I hope that this helps you learn a bit more on managing your overall health, your fat loss journey, your chronic illness issues that you might have, and you can be able to manage those all these variables here. Again, this isn't medical advice. These are just practical tools to help you and see how your body responds in a way that helps you be successful here. If your labs are trending in the wrong direction, you literally need to do something about it because you will get put on medicine, and you ultimately, one med leads to more, and you have significant more problems to try and get off of them. Okay. And we do not want medicine. We don't want risk of heart disease because it's a killer of men, cardiovascular disease, heart attack, stroke, and diabetes is on the rise more than ever because of the foods that you eat and the lifestyle that you live. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time today. Comment below. Let me know how this is going. Share this with a friend that wants to starts talking about testosterone or insulin, and hopefully they will learn something too. Over and out. Off we go. Thanks so much.